Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing today? Oh my goodness, I just got phlegm in my throat. I hope incredible. As always, I hope you're doing amazing. I hope these last couple months have been great. I know it's been a little bit, but as promised, I am back. Maybe not as soon as we were expecting or hoping, but I am back again, and we're going to be doing another true crime video today. For those that are new here, hello, welcome. My name is Cheyenne. This is my channel where I pretty much talk about true crime things. That might be changing. I don't really know. Sometimes I just feel a little burnt out from murder and stuff, but I don't know, sometimes I'm feeling good. So when I'm feeling good, I do this. So I don't know, maybe I'll find something in between the gaps to kind of fill the space, because it's just, I just can't talk about murder all the time, you know? That's so weird. I literally found out that somebody died. Today is when I found out. They didn't die today, but I found out today. And I literally just found this sticking to my sweater. It's a little silver R. And that was what their name began with. Isn't that so weird? Creepy. So moving on from that, and for those of you who are return customers, welcome. Thank you for coming back. I love having you here. So yeah, that's it, I guess. That's all I have for you. We are going to begin. Warning, this is in fact a true crime channel. So because of that, we are going to be talking about topics related to true crime, and that might be triggering for some people. And that's okay. No judgment here, but if you are triggered by anything related to true crime, this probably isn't the space for you. It might be a good idea to go mosey on somewhere else. So that's where I'll leave that, okay? Thank you. Let's begin. So we are again going to be looking at a case that is located in Canada. So today we are going to be talking about the disappearance of Madison Scott. So Madison was born on April 29th, 1991. Her parents were Dawn and Eldon Scott, and she grew up in Vanderhoof, British Columbia, which is in Canada, right on the end, right to the left. So British Columbia, for those who don't know, is generally just like known for its beauty. It's just like a gorgeous place to go hang out. It's in the mountains, there's trees everywhere. Vanderhoof in particular though is kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's right in the middle of British Columbia, and it's surrounded by very dense forest, and it's just a small community of 4,000 people, so just like a really tiny isolated small town kind of vibe. So this case is going to be taking place in 2011. So in 2011, Madison had been graduated from high school for 2 years. So she would have been like 19, 20. And she was working at MGM logging with her dad. And then he was also training her to become a mechanic. And like with, I feel like almost every case that we cover, Madison was described as being a very outgoing, happy, kind person. She was always doing something. She was very active. She was vibrant and just had a passion for life, which is really, I don't know, that's how all victims are pretty much described. Honestly, if anything happens to me, don't be saying this shit, okay? I'd just be honest, okay? I'm just probably a crusty bitch or something. So in late 2011, one of Madison's friends was having a party, and the party was in a place called Hogsback Lake, which is about 25 kilometers southeast from where Madison lives. A friend that she hadn't seen since high school texted her and asked if she wanted to go together. Madison said yeah, and so that was the plan. They were going to go to this party together. And so they both decided, because they were planning on having drinks that night, that they would just bring a tent and then camp while they were there, and then in the morning pack up and leave together. And the invitation for this party was actually just posted publicly on Facebook, which stated exactly where it was being held, which isn't really my kind of vibe. So that was the plan, and they were raring to go. So on May 27th is when they packed up the vehicle. They decided they were going to go in Maddy's 1990 Ford F-150. They packed up the tent, they packed up beer, got the cooler ready to go, and they were off. So initially they drove all the way there, and then once they got there, they realized that they forgot the poles for the tent. So they had to drive back into town. They grabbed the poles. Maddy said goodbye to her mother, Dawn. and then they headed back out to Hogsback Lake. So Madison and Jordy got there, they finally had everything they needed, they set up their tent, and they set it up near the entrance of the park. They had a beautiful view of the lake, and they were ready to go. And because this was posted on Facebook, 45 people ended up showing up. There were people showing up that they didn't know were coming. There were people that they didn't intend to come, but obviously you put on Facebook so people show up. That's just like what happened. So anyways, people came to the party. It was some random people, some people they knew, and the night began. So around midnight is when everyone decided to start heading back home, leaving the party. Not everyone was actually camping there, so all the people that decided they weren't camping left to go home for the night. And around this time was when Maddy also went and got settled in the tent and started to get ready for bed. Jordy at the same time was still up. She was by the campfire drinking and just hanging out with the people that were still at the party. And then at some point during the night, Jordy ended up falling into the fire. And that's when she decided that she needed to go home because she was too drunk and just didn't want to be at the campground anymore. So this was at around 2 a.m. When Jordy woke up Maddy and told her that she was going home because she was too drunk. Maddy begged her to stay, and Jordy said, "No, I'm going, like you're welcome to come with me, but I'm leaving." And so Jordy left, and Maddy decided that she was gonna stay at the campsite because she didn't want to leave all her stuff behind. Obviously, like her truck, like everything is there, so when she can't drive, she's been drinking, so she decided she was gonna stay, pack up in the morning, and go home. And so Madison was left alone at the campground. So the next morning, Jordy said that she returned to the campground at around 8:30 in the morning, and she was just there to try to quickly grab her stuff before she had to work. So she got there and noticed that Maddy's truck was still there, and the tent was there, and the tent flap was open. So she went into the tent to look for Maddy. When she looked in the tent, Maddy wasn't there, and she noticed that Maddy's things were scattered all over the tent. And because she had to work, she didn't have time to go searching around and looking for Maddy, so she left shortly after. Then at around 10:30, other people that were at the party came back to the campsite, and that's when they also noticed Maddy's truck and her tent there. So later that night, there was another party being held at Hogsback. This time the party was bigger. There was like 150 people that were at this party, so significantly more than last time. And most of the people that were at this party, they also knew Madison, but nobody recalls seeing her at the party. But her tent and her truck were still there. And all the people in Madison's life also couldn't get a hold of her at around this time. She wasn't responding to anybody's texts or phone calls. And then at some point her phone ended up dying, so there wasn't even like any ringing when they were calling her. And her tent was flattened like during this party, which I'm sure is great for like crime scene specialists when they're trying to look for evidence. It was great that there was a whole party held. There were some people that night that also decided to tent, but they only ever saw her truck and tent. Nobody ever saw Maddy. And so then the next day, it's Sunday, Madison still isn't returning any of her parents' texts or phone calls. This is when Madison's mother's really starting to get worried, so she starts phoning Madison's friends to see if any of them have seen her or talked to her. And this is when her parents find out that Jordy hadn't seen Madison since very early Saturday morning, when she had left the party to go home. Immediately, Dawn called her husband and they drove to Hogsback Lake to go search for Maddy. So they arrived to the campground. Again, they find Madison's truck, they find her tent, they find all of her belongings, but there's no evidence of her. And so this is when they decide they need to call the police. So the police arrive, the dive team come in the canine unit, and there's also over 150 people in the community that come to help search too. And they searched everywhere. They searched the lake, they searched the trails, they searched the campground, the whole area, but there was just no evidence of Madison. They searched the area between like where her tent and her truck was. There was no evidence of a struggle or anything like that happening. They did find her lanyard and phone in this area, but nothing else. There was no evidence again. And really since that day, there haven't been many updates. Unfortunately, this isn't a closed case. They've never found Madison. They've never found any evidence. So there was another crime that happened a few months after Madison went missing. There was an individual that went missing from Vanderhoof as well. This person went missing and then his head was later found in a house in Fort St. James. And police never found his body, but they said that they did believe that he was beaten to death in the home by around 20 people. And for some reason during this time, there's a rumor going around that this man was Madison's boyfriend. Her parents said that that's not true. That has never been true. They were on the same baseball team and they had the same friends, like mutual friends, but they never dated. So every year on the anniversary of Madison's disappearance, her family holds a poker run at Hogsback Lake to search the area for any evidence of Maddy. You can either walk, ATV, go by horseback, like it does not matter, whatever people are feeling, you can go and just search and help out in any way. And they also have a $100,000 reward that they offer for any information that might lead to locating her. They put up posters, and honestly, like, in any way possible, the family is just trying to keep her name out, keep the word going, to just keep talking about the case, and hopefully eventually something comes up. I just can't imagine what it would be like to lose a loved one and not know what happened to them. So I just hope more than anything that eventually the family can get closure for this. And yeah, unfortunately, that's all I really have. There's not much else to go on. There's really nothing that police have been able to find. There's no leads they've been able to find. The issue too is, like, it could just be anybody. It could be anyone from any small community. It could be someone just visiting the campground. It could be someone that was passing through. It could have been someone that knew her, but there's really no evidence either way. Madison's family does have a website where you can access photos of Maddy and where you can also make a donation towards the family's search for her. They also keep like a whole timeline of her disappearance, and since the beginning they've never given up on finding any opportunity to put the word out, to get her name out, to try to spread awareness around her disappearance. So if you know anything, if you know of anyone that knows anything, you can get in touch with the Vanderhoof RCMP. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it's a little different because normally I actually talk about a murder and there's an investigation and they find the person and, you know, justice is served. Unfortunately, in this case, there is no justice that has been served yet. I will see you when I see you. I will be back, I promise. Thank you for holding on. Thank you for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, wonderful week, a wonderful wherever the hell you are. And I will see you all later. Okie dokie. Bye-bye.